morning, Hezzy. This is Maeve Scott calling.
Good morning, Maeve. What a pleasure. Maeve Scott, Yonkers City Council, a candidate to vying to represent the 4th District. So kind of you to call. I'm so interested in your campaign because you're a first-time candidate. Your challenger is also a first-time candidate vying to represent people. And when you went about in your campaign effort in the district, what was it that most resonated in your heart and in your mind that was expressed to you by that door-to-door effort to reach out and, press people's palms and find out what they believe in and what they want and what their concerns are? What stands out in your mind about that?
Well, people basically, first I want to thank you for inviting me on the show. And
Sure.
Going door to door and meeting the voters, there's a lot of dissatisfaction. Folks don't feel that they've been adequately represented, and that was my feeling, and that's what motivated me to run. There are so many areas in the district that require improvement, and in the city for that matter. So that's going to be my main. I have 5 areas of main focus, which all resonate with the voters. The budget, smart business, business development and economic development. Education is a big issue. Taxes, and then of course, there's many quality of life issues in the 4th that the constituents want addressed. So those are the 5 areas that I will focus on, and it's based on all the feedback that I've gotten from the voters, as well as my own observations.
Mm-hmm. You've been a lifelong resident of Yonkers, is that right?
Yes, I've lived. I've lived in Yonkers for over 30 years. I'm a homeowner, and that's nothing unique. Many of the candidates, live in a long-term residence of Yonkers, but experience, sets me apart. And I don't know if my budget experience, makes me uniquely qualified for this position. The budget responsibilities, the council's single most important job, is the annual budget. And I have over a decade of significant budgetary experience at a global company. So that makes me uniquely qualified. And then furthermore, Hezzy, I'm committed to do this. I'm retired now. I can work full-time and undistracted for the voters and the residents of the 4th District. I don't have any outside business interests. I don't have any conflicting business interests at the Yonkers waterfront to distract me.
Right.
Unlike my opponent, I can be laser-focused, working day one full-time on all the important issues and problems facing the 4th District and the city of Yonkers. So,
do people recognize? Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted, in your opening remarks, I am a first-time candidate. I am the first time I'm running. Unlike my opponent, he ran 8 years ago, so I wouldn't refer to him as a first-time candidate.
I didn't realize that. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. That's correct. Good point. I'm glad you brought that up. And thanks for the correction.
No problem.
Do people recognize your value as a representative on City Council for the 4th District, because that's the district you live in? Do they recognize the integrity of being able to recognize or discern what numbers mean on a ledger, how they interplay with one another, because the budget is the number one responsibility of the City Council, and it becomes it's a judgment call, because it's a question of how are you spending money? Is it being spent wisely? Are we throwing a lot of money out the door? People don't even understand what it means when we take out a bond, and the costs in taking out the bonds, and just how indebted we are. It seems that we are very, very close to our maximum allowable bonding capacity. Is that going to constrain us to the future?
Oh, absolutely, and that's why we need someone that's going to be able to go in and look at the budget, top to bottom, and look for areas of redundancy, eliminating waste, and look for areas where we can have more efficiencies, and reward departments for seeking operational efficiencies. Once we have a budget, presented, it needs to be scrutinized. And the municipal side of the budget needs that. The educational side of the budget needs to be looked at. And then once it's approved, we need to do a constant monitoring and oversight of the budget to prevent overspending. Do quarterly reviews with all departments. So many of the voters, they're not even aware. Many of the voters, they're not even aware of the significance of the budget. They're not aware, of the financial state of the city. And I think that we need more transparency. We need more communication to the voters. Utilize Yonkers' website and press releases to communicate to the people. But we don't do that. Our budget is under a big shadow, and I intend to shine the light on the budget. And no, there'll be no sacred cows. All areas will be examined, and we need to make sure that the taxpayer is getting the bang for the buck. And that is not happening right now.
Well, I'm so glad that you brought up that, we should have a quarterly review, an assessment of how things are going and how things are being spent. That's supposed to be in the Yonkers City Charter, but we haven't been doing it for years. We get a quarterly report. I mean, it's insane.
Right.
How can we function? I mean, any corporation, could they function without a quarterly report?
Absolutely not. I mean, in corporate America, it's done monthly, as a matter of fact. I'm not even implying that we do it monthly, but quarterly at the very minimum is required.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have a budget, approve it, and put it in the top drawer and forget about it. And that's what happens in Yonkers. So that's why we misspend, we overspend, and we don't spend wisely. And that's another area that I would like to change. I mean, additionally, the long-term strategic plan of Yonkers, I'm not sure it's a 5-year plan. I haven't seen it, but we need to look at that and make sure it's still, if it does exist, it's still relevant, it's consistent with the annual plan, and just like the annual plan gets reviewed every year, the 5-year strategic plan should be revisited every year to make sure that the annual plan is consistent with the overall vision. So none of these best practices are currently happening in Yonkers.
How does one, when you become in the city council, you have one voice among 7, because there's a city council president and 6 city council people. So you have one voice, and there's the mayor who has the executive, a hold on the executive, and you are the legislative body member. How does one get heard? You certainly never struck me as a timid type of person. You have an understanding, and you base your opinion on knowledge and experience. So you're not timid. You're not going to shy away. But does the city council engender a sense of listening? Do they engage in discussion?
I think that's one of the most important characteristics of a city council member is to be a good listener, to review the facts, and to collaborate and brainstorm in a bipartisan manner with your colleagues. Nothing can be accomplished by one person. But I believe everybody on the council is intelligent and reasonable, and that when the facts are presented, the right decisions will be made. But you have to see the facts. And so all my career, Hezi, I work with people of all different races and all around the world, and different characteristics, different personalities, and I've always been able to collaborate effectively and get a good end result. And I think those skills of mine, collaboration and communication and camaraderie, will be very effective on the council. And whether it's a Democratic or a Republican idea, I will always be open to it and always be a good listener.
Well, that's the thing that's so exciting. I've always found in the past, because I've been following Yonkers, I guess for about 17 years with a little bit of knowledge, but and probably the first 7 years were wasted because I was learning a great deal. But what I find interesting is that each council district seems to operate separately from others, but I've always had a sense from you that you are collaborative, and that you are interested in knowing, and what happens in the 4th district may affect the 1st and the 3rd and the 2nd and the 6th and the 5th and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? But people interested in that, or is it very, very neighborhood and very, very small? Or can it be grander and bigger?
Well, I think it depends on what you were specifically referring to. I mean, I think, there's some aspects on the council that are citywide, such as the budget. They affect all districts. But I think also, as a representative for the 4th District, I will have to always, keep the 4th District in mind. I mean, I think that largely, for the most part, from my perspective, the 4th District has not been served well. It's been largely ignored. If you walk around the 4th District, I see, things deteriorating. I see, litter and garbage. I see vacant stores and vacant lots. So, there's a lot to be desired and improved in the 4th District. And I think, unlike my opponent, who thinks that everything has been done, properly, and he wants to continue the progress made in the 4th District, I see little progress that's been made in the last 4 to 8 years. And that's why that's what motivated me to run. I want to make changes. I think we need a vision, Hezi, at this council level, that every single council member should have a vision for his district, and then we should merge those visions together. And even in the 4th District, we have a lot of distinct neighborhoods. We need to meet with those neighborhoods and say, where do you see in your neighborhood things that need improvement? And that outreach doesn't happen, and that engagement. And that's what's going to make me different. I'm going to make that engagement in the district, but I'm also going to encourage my colleagues on the council to do the same, because we need the participation of each of the communities and the neighborhoods to make the best of our districts and our city as a whole.
I'm wondering, I find a lack in districts.
I'm sorry, Hezi, you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I find a lack of concern about a diminished or not as vibrant business community. It's indicative in the 4th District as well as the others. Can a city council person actually bring forward an energized effort to promote Yonkers as a destination for small business, even big business? Because your area straddles a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You have it all.
Right.
Big business requirements, small business.
Right. I mean, I think there's a need to focus on small business development. In each of the districts, on McLean Avenue, as I mentioned, on Yonkers Avenue, we have numerous storefronts empty, and we need to collaborate across the council, because this is not a problem unique to the 4th District. It's across all the districts, and say, what is the problem, what are the pitfalls, and what are we going to do to solve it? And that's something that we have to work as a team on, and that's where we need to collaborate, and we need to work in a bipartisan fashion. And I will help to stimulate ideas to address these issues that are chronic. And we can't move a city forward with just development at the waterfront. Our city is made up of 6 districts, and they all need attention. And no district should be left behind in my mind. And right now, I feel that the 4th District has been left behind.
Very, very important. A lot of development has stalled all over the city, and certainly also in the 4th District. How does one move that forward, or can one do that in collaboration with other members that are elected to office, or even the ones that are already incumbent and are going to be there for a few more years?
Right. Well, we need to focus smart development across the city. And, we have billions of dollars being, of economic and business development being spent. But we need to reexamine where. And, it can't all be concentrated in a few areas. And I know, it's not focused on the 4th, that's for sure. And,
no, it's not.
So you just really have to walk around this district, and it's clear as day, some of the deterioration that's happening. And as I mentioned, we need to work as a team to come up with a vision for each of the districts and the city as a whole, as far as what development, economic or business, and small and large need to be addressed. I mean, I go up to White Plains, Hezi, and a lot of the development that's happening, in our city is retail focused. But you go up to White Plains, and they have buildings and buildings full of financial services firms, investment firms, legal firms. Those are the types of businesses we need to seek out. Those are the jobs that are for our young people that graduate from college. And those are the jobs that Yonkers is not pursuing. We have New York City right to our south. there's so many businesses in New York City that are looking for more economical real estate. Okay?
Yes.
I'm not saying we give the store away, but our real estate in Yonkers is going to be a lot cheaper than it is in Manhattan. And if there was a way to attract those businesses to come to Yonkers, that the benefits are endless for our young people, for tax revenues, and no one is tapping into the huge benefit that Yonkers has in terms of being, its proximity to Manhattan. And, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I just said, that is such a huge selling point because, companies in New York City, they're looking to save money, but they also want to stay close to Manhattan. So, we're a hop, skip, and a jump away, and we're not using that as one of our selling points. And to attract those good-paying, jobs that will for our young people and for the residents as a whole across Yonkers. Those are the jobs that pay more than minimum wage.
Correct. Well, that's what I find interesting. We have the express buses, the B-Line express buses that go to Manhattan, and also in the reverse, which is important to recognize because some people in Manhattan, they may live there, but they may want to work in Yonkers because they have a competitive job that would pay them that they don't have available in Manhattan anymore or in the other boroughs. The same thing with the Metro North station on the east side of the city, and I never understood why we never tried to promote Wall Street opening up an adjunct office, to protect, God forbid, anything should happen to Wall Street, and they could have it here in a place that has the infrastructure to function with it. And a lot of it has to do with the capacity for, a high-tech internet capacity. And that should all work together, but we've never done that. I've never understood. Why.
Yeah, but it baffles me too. And I mean, especially with technology firms, and there's so many new startups. And we could make Yonkers a real destination for real, high-paying, good quality jobs across a wide spectrum of industries. So that's definitely an area that needs to be debated, challenged, and reviewed, and something that we need to follow through on.
Yeah, and is it possible also to marry, residential with business, where you can actually put it together? So you could have maybe 3 or 4 floors of business offices. That would be those high-end technology firms that could function, and then you also have the higher floors maybe for residences, so it meets a lot of needs. Do we have a plan for something like that?
Yeah, I think all things are possible with the right strategy.
Right.
I don't know if some of these buildings are zoned for that. I mean, so I can't really speak.
Right.
But I mean, there's a lot of possibility to have businesses come to Yonkers, and the residents of Yonkers live nearby. I would love to have a 5-minute or 10-minute commute. That would be ideal.
Exactly.
Even if it wasn't in the same building but nearby. Yeah. So and then also a lot of companies also have workforces that work remotely, so they could have a headquarters in Yonkers and maybe only employ 300 or 400 people on site, but have hundreds of people working remotely who come to visit maybe once a week. So there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of options to be explored. But the bottom line is that if you don't think creatively and outside the box, you're never going to explore these areas. And that's where I think that I have the business acumen, and I've seen in my long career a lot of things, and I would like to bring those experiences to the City Council because I think the City Council is surely lacking in imagination and creativity about how to address problems.
Well, I think that really is the gist of it, and I think you've encapsulated it. You have had experience. You've also grown through different cycles of because of your experiences. You're not shy when it comes to tech contending with it, dealing with it, working with it, massaging it so that it can work for the greater good. And we don't have that complexity and knowledge base. That's experience, and it tells you something. And we have that. When we look at the city council, God bless them, there are a lot of people that have been there, but they just didn't have the ability to eclipse what was almost like a hick town for a long time. And maybe we're very lucky to have someone like you who know how to function.
Well, I mean, my colleagues on the council, they have a lot of experience, but their experience is primarily limited to government. So that's why you need a mix of experiences, and everybody brings the value with their experiences to the table. And I'm not diminishing anyone's experience, but you need a good variety of experience so that you can make, you can have the right options, you can make the right decisions, and you can get the best outcomes. And the budget is an area where I believe that I can make extraordinary contribution. But I have ideas about business development as our tax bases, our taxes, how to grow revenues. I mean, all the hidden taxes. I mean, I just read an article, and not to sideline you, about another $15 surcharge added to the red light camera, $55 fine. Yeah. And there was no press release from City Hall announcing that. So it's another example of hidden taxes, and I'm not a proponent of that. I believe in full transparency, and if we're gonna amend or legislate something, it should be fully vetted and fully communicated. So transparency is another area that I feel very strong about, and education and quality of life issues. And I probably need about a half hour of your time to get into depth about all my ideas about education and quality of life and taxes. And unfortunately, I know this program doesn't permit today to go into depth on all that, but I definitely want to speak to you again, Ezzy. I'm going out, I'm meeting the voters, and I'm getting my message out, because I am very issue-centric. And, I'm not just someone who's going to be present around election time and then become, invisible. I plan to be on the ground in the district at all times, and I plan to be someone that is engaged and is always someone that will listen to the concerns, of the constituents, and then someone who's going to drive and work with my colleagues to make some real change and to make Yonkers better than it can be. So much better, Hezzy, than it is, and that's what motivates me.
That's what I find so exciting about your candidacy, because of your knowledge in finance. It's so crucial, because we're dealing with a lot of issues on the financial concerns. We don't know how to use the tax codes that will benefit our city to actually engage in building a trust fund for whatever the vision is for the city. We don't know how to raise funding in a better way, taking money that we have and money off of the money. I don't think the complexity of high finance is, I find it actually delinquent. It has shown up in Yonkers, either from the mayoral office or from the city council, because I don't think they have that experience. And that's what we're missing. We keep voting people who are unaware. We need people who are aware.
Yeah, but I also think to that point, there's you have to have some financial experience, but I also think, that a lot of this decision making is it's really not rocket scientists. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to make these decisions, but you have to look holistically at across the city and see what benefits. You can't be doing things in a silo. And if you're going to construct a building, you need to think about the impact. For instance, on do we have enough schools in the area? Or do we have enough? Do we have enough retail in the area? Do we have the transportation to support this influx of new residents? Do we have the fire and police to support it? So, I think that the financial aspects and the budgetary aspects are so important. I'm not trying to diminish that, but there are also many other avenues in terms of business development and that need to be addressed, and other ideas that need to be explored.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm looking forward to. So whenever you want, we could spend a half hour just on finances. We could spend a half hour on promotions. We do a lot of different things, how to reach out to the public so that they're made aware. Very exciting time. And my God, I can't believe it. The elections are seemingly around the corner. How do people get in touch with your candidacy if they want to help you get out the message or reach out to potential voters that may not have heard about your campaign and your experiences? Where do people go?
Sure. Well, I have a website. It's www.maevescott.com. I also have a presence on Facebook as well. And, I have an office, a headquarter office, 649 McLean Avenue. And we have a nice office there. But I'm always around. I'm going to homeowners meetings now. I'm out there in terms of knocking on doors. We're building up a nice volunteer base. Being in the district and having an office, it's given me a lot of exposure. People stopping by and saying, who are you, Maeve? And that's so important to have that direct communication with the voter. And right now around the district, there's a lot of signs going up. It's a sign war. There's big posters and banners. I've never seen more signs, Hezzy, in my whole life. And, signs are good, and I have my signs too, but there's nothing that can replace talking to the voter. And, that's my game plan between now and Election Day is to get my message out to the voters, get people out to vote, because historically voter turnout has been low, and we need to raise the bar on voter turnout and get people off the couch and out to vote so that they know the importance of this election, the importance of a local election to them and what it means.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's just what you've said today is very encouraging, and I would tend to think a lot of people will consider coming out to vote because you bring a perspective that hasn't been fully vetted in the discourse in Yonkers, and that's always good. I always love open the windows, get a little fresh air. It might really it's fertile ground for change that could be very, very positive for Yonkers. So that's
yes,
very,
and that's all.
very good.
That's all. And to your point, I mean, that's all. That's my entire platform is making positive change for Yonkers. And working collaboratively and in a bipartisan manner to make the best decisions for the best outcome for everybody.
I love it. I didn't ask you, is there like an email address or, your website address will lead people to...
we have Friends of Maeve Scott.
Okay.
Friends of Maeve Scott at gmail.com is an email. And that's monitored very closely, so we try to be as responsive as possible. And anyway, my number is 914-294-9024. So there's many ways to reach out and contact Maeve.
Absolutely. So Maeve Marie Scott, M-A-E-V-E, Marie, M-A-R-I-E, and then Scott, S-C-O-T-T. Thanks for making the time. I wish you much success. I hope to hear from you again soon.
Oh, thank you very much, Hezzy, and absolutely, we need to do another episode so we can delve into more of the issues.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll give you a call so we can set up more time.
Okay, great. Have a nice day, everybody.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Maeve Scott, Yonkers City Council. How exciting. I'm so excited about this